Just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
34 Fairview. If John was beaten up and attacked in that house, who did it?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Son Colin. Oh, I can't wait to see Colin. I'm gonna have a lot of questions for Colin. And something tells me he won't be able to control his temper like you did. He can get some. He can get some too. There won't be a dog there to back him up this time. I'm not afraid of your stupid son. Believe me, I could kick the shit out of your stupid son. So please, please.
The defense chose a strategy, a very strategic strategy, to sell their story and disseminate to the public, potential jury pool, in a way they thought best fit their needs. And they've done this continually.
And Chris and Jen especially were the most involved afterwards in like covering this up because their kids are involved. You know,
Right.
their kid, they had the most to lose here. Whereas Brian Albert kept more of a low profile, and Higgins just dropped off the face of the earth, and nobody talked about him.
Yeah. Put like Fort Knox apparently around his house because how he knew you were driving by. And I mean, that was a crazy story.
That was wild. We have to constantly remind people that Colin Albert was involved in the murder of John O'Keefe.
Okay, you're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert. I mean, we're all in on the same joke, right?
So did you go in reverse 24 miles an hour, 53 feet?
The date is what the date is.
Hey, everybody. We are here with the Forensic Room. I am Lydia. I have Julie here, Mama Llama.
Hello.
And Tuesday Gazette. And we have with us tonight a much anticipated guest. So we would like to introduce to you Chris Albert.
Hey.
Hey
Hi,
guys,
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
you guys all doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
It's
How about
nice
you?
to see you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Nice to finally see you face to face.
Yeah, this is really nice.
Yeah, a little different than the Twitterverse where everything's just black and white.
Yep.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. Thank you so much for coming on with us. I know you are a
thank you,
big
Chris.
guy.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet.
So I know we're going to have a conversation tonight, Chris, and not really an interview, but definitely get some questions and things like that going. But I kind of wanted to start with the fact that you mostly stayed silent on social media and really in the media until you briefly joined a Spaces conversation the other night. And during that conversation, there were some really disturbing comments made, not by you, but by someone else towards a certain blogger. And at the request of Jenna Matt McCabe and Brian and Nicole Albert and Brian Higgins, I publicly stated the other night on our show, they found those comments appalling and that they did not condone them, as we all did as well. I would think anyone would. I did address that, like I said, a few days ago. You, of course, did nothing wrong. And despite what the mob claims, they do not control witnesses or who you choose to talk to or when you choose to talk. That being said, did you want to address the comments that occurred the other night?
Yeah, sure. So like you said, like I've remained silent. for multiple different reasons, trying not to get dragged into too much of the craziness online and stuff. And, because of attorneys, what they've said, we've decided to, let the courts system play out. But the other day I decided, I listen to those spaces sometimes, and it was just totally spontaneous. It was New Year's Day, and I was listening to one, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to jump on and just thank people for all that they've done for my family, for my extended family, and just more of a thank you to them. And so I clicked request to speak, which I've never done before. I don't even really know how it works. And I got on. I was just thanking people. And to be quite honest, I didn't even really remember or really pay attention to the comments that were said. I didn't find out until later on what was said. And by no means do I condone, I accept any of that, what was said. I think those comments are vile. I don't think there's any place for that type of rhetoric and speech anywhere. I look back on what's happened to my family, my brother, the McCabe's, Brian Higgins, and I hear these comments all the time that are said to us on a regular basis, and they're vile, they're disgusting. There's no place for that type of speech. So I don't condone those, and actually I think they were terrible, and I don't accept those, and I wish if I realized what was being said at the time, I probably would have jumped off right away. I certainly didn't laugh at it. So whoever says or thinks that I did.
No, the person who laughed actually owned it on Twitter, which I thought was great. They did. Yeah.
No, and I listened briefly in the very beginning. Some of those spaces can be so long. I turned it on briefly when you first came on. I heard you showing and sharing your thanks to everyone and how the support has made your family feel. I remember someone asking you about Colin. How is Colin doing? And I remember you saying every day is going to be up and down type thing. Some days are good, some days are bad. It's a struggle. When I was listening, the conversation and everyone involved, it was a great conversation. Unfortunately, I didn't stay very long, but I heard there was a clip. Was it a clip or two clips or something that someone in the spaces, they started being kind of derogatory, speaking towards the blogger that has been vile towards many people, but they tried to attach you to that story, of whoever was saying that. So, and it was a family member, right, of the McCabe's. That's why the announcement that Carrie had made for them the other day, just saying like, that's not something we condone, that type of speaking. That's not us. That's a relative, which I thought was showing integrity to stand up and say, we don't condone that type of speech because we understand the harassment.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Julie.
Oh, no, it's okay. Go ahead. I was just going to say, can you imagine if the defense would have spoken up and said, these people shouldn't be harassed?
Right.
The way this could have been different, and no one from the defense ever said a word. As a matter of fact, David Yannetti said that Aidan Carney was doing God's work.
Yep.
He did.
So,
He did.
And I thought it was interesting too how it went from yesterday, the post there. First, it was Chris was laughing, and then yesterday there was a long post that they had put in Turtle Boy's OnlyFans group that Chris sat there and smiled, which is interesting to me since it's audio only. So I don't know how anyone would know that Chris was smiling, but. They do this and they repeat lie after lie after lie until it's, people accept it as the truth. And it's very unfair.
Yeah, they just keep giving us examples of how that works. The thing about smiling just cracked me up. I mean, it's part of the course.
Right.
What they do.
Right.
And like Hank said, you tell a lie enough times, it becomes the truth. So
right. And they fill in the gaps. And it's funny because you fill in the gap here and be like, yeah, he was smiling. And it's like,
how can that
it's an
be
audio.
Right.
Like you are filling in the gap, the narrative here, and what you're imagining in your mind.
Right.
Because you have villainized these people so much that you are seeing him smiling on the other end of an audio.
Right.
I mean, it's
right.
And
so
there's
it lives so large in their minds. Yeah.
Right. And for those that don't know what Spaces is, I guess we should mention. So for those that are not on Twitter, it's this new feature. I think TikTok has it. I'm not too familiar with TikTok, but you can basically have a live conversation that's audio and people can join in and the public can hear. You can listen anonymously, you can listen not anonymously. And there's been some great conversations that have come from it and some weird ones I've clicked on and clicked right out of. Like, what am I listening to? But it has been a good way to connect with people that, you know, you talk with and tweet on social media, and just to hear their voice and to hear them in, you know, sound like a person behind their
it's sort of like a
profile.
voice channel on Discord. It's very much like that. It's
Yes,
just
that's right. Discord has
talking
it as
to each
well.
other. Yeah.
So I think the main thing to end on that, because I don't want to spend too much time on it, but obviously none of the witnesses, Chris included, I didn't want to speak for Chris the other night because I obviously knew he was coming on and that he could speak for himself. But no one condones that. No one. It was disgusting, and you know they can't control. Just like the blogger's family probably can't control him, who's wished death upon more people than I can count. I'm sure his family doesn't feel the same way and wish death upon people. You know, they don't feel the same way, and they were extremely appalled by it, and, you know, everyone included. So
yeah, definitely.
So
100%.
Yeah. Let's move on to some more fun stuff than that.
Yeah.
Watching the trial and watching your testimony, I got the picture that Canton was a really sweet little town. That was the picture that was painted during the trial to me, because I'm not imagining a conspiracy. I grew up in a town of a similar size, and sometimes when people were drawing conclusions throughout the trial, notably the attorneys, that it was just absolutely outrageous that someone would know the firefighter who showed up to their house, or that, you know, those kind of connections would be unusual. And in a town that size, they're not unusual. And when I was growing up there, I thought it was kind of annoying that everybody knew, you know, everybody would tell my mom if I got in trouble, because it's a small town, you know each other.
Right.
So I wanted to hear from you what it was like growing up in Canton, what kind of a town Canton was, and what your experience of living there all your life has been like.
Sure. So I was born in South Boston originally. I'm one of 7 children. My father moved us to Canton when I was about 4 years old. I think it was around 1974. It's kind of a small little community. Everybody knows everybody. People that live in Canton, born in Canton, stay in Canton. People marry their high school sweethearts. People have jobs in Canton that went to Canton High. I mean, it's kind of like a normal occurrence. I mean, small little town of, now it's around 24,000, I think. Just kind of like any other small town in America. There's people that are teachers at the schools, whose husbands are firefighters, or whose husbands are police officers. It's kind of that small town feeling. I loved growing up in Canton. It's a wonderful place. It still is a wonderful place. It's a great little town. And then, of course, I brought my children up there. I have 3 children. My oldest, Christopher, my son, Colin, who's 21, will be 22. I got to be careful here. And my son, Dylan, who's 18. Canton's a great little town.
I live in the next town from Chris, which I think is probably the same size, Chris. Maybe, I don't know.
Similar, yeah.
If I got pulled over, you know, for speeding, whatever, any cop that pulled me over, I would know. It's just the way it is. The firefighters I know, I mean, it's just the way small towns are. That's why whenever I would see in the trial or on social media that, oh, this is so crazy, I could never understand what people were talking about. I assume everyone else who lives in a small town has, you know, the same experiences. So that was very strange to me to see that through both trials. I thought it was so odd.
To be honest with you, I don't I could never think of it as any other way because I'm not from a big city. I mean, we're from
Exactly.
small town America. So to me, it's like, well, that's normal. You go to Canton High, you become a police officer, a firefighter, a teacher, you go on to another profession.
Right.
I mean, that's just me growing up in Canton. Mostly all the police officers, even when I grew up, they were majority of them were from Canton. The majority of the firefighters were from Canton. But it's just how it is. It's normal. I mean, it's just how it is.
Yeah, those ordinary things that just got so twisted. I just found it upsetting that those ordinary things that you love about living in a small town got turned into something that was supposedly ominous because it's probably some of the things you love about living there.
Oh yeah, I mean, you just know everybody, and growing up, it's like you couldn't go anywhere without knowing someone. I mean, obviously, as time goes on, towns change, communities change. Canton's a little different. Well, it's actually a lot different now than it was when I grew up. It was more of a blue collar town. Now it's pretty expensive to live in Canton. It's just like any other small town in America.
I wanted to bring it up again, the ridiculous comments online and from the attorney about the paint in the garage. And I wanted you to talk about how old that paint is.
So in all honesty, when I saw that, I just thought it was a joke. I'm like, that can't be real. Like, is that really what people online are really thinking? Like that's blood? Like, I mean, clear as day, anybody can tell it's paint. That paint was in there when I was a child. So just put it in perspective. Really? Yeah. That I remember that paint in that garage. So that goes back like 40 plus years. So I mean, it's silly. The whole premise is silly, but that's how the whole case has been. It's smoke and mirrors. It's,
it would
crazy.
be the best frame job ever. You leave the blood there and then you sell the house.
You sell the house, you leave all the blood. You're like, we're out of here.
Yeah.
But now you need a time machine on top of everything else. You got to go back 40 years.
Right.
So if you want to say on our low budget show that you have a time machine, feel free.
Yeah. I told you guys what I saw today on that one show that she was saying that they poured the paint over it purposefully to cover the blood.
That's the time machine part. So
oh my God.
You got to jump in your time machine and go back 40 years.
It's really unreal.
Unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
Yeah. It's just.
What's more amazing is that people actually believe it.
That's
what to me is so mind-boggling is that like you can see that it's paint. They know that it's paint.
They know it's
paint. Know that it's paint. And they're
Yeah.
just trying to make it something that it's not.
Let's talk about the select board. So have you always been interested in community service or politics?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely a political junkie. I've always been enamored with politics. I never really thought I would run for an office, to be honest with you. It kind of just came up. It was just not really planned. There was an opening, there was a couple openings, and I just decided, geez, I've done everything else in Canton. I've owned a business for a long time. I've coached sports. I've been involved in my community. And I said, gee, you know what? Maybe I'll give this a try. And I ran for select board, and I actually, I won. I came in, top overall. It wasn't something that I aspired to do. But I do like politics. I follow politics pretty closely.
Well, especially being so familiar with the community and stuff, I think that's almost a natural kind of step to take if you have any interest in politics.
And owning a business, I would imagine you'd have an interest in what the city was doing.
Right.
So can I ask a terminology question as a foreigner to Massachusetts? Is select board what some cities call city council? Is that the same thing?
Yeah. So what it is, if you're a city, you can have a mayor. Even small towns can have mayors. They would just vote at town meeting. So a select board's like city council.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So on that note, because our city council meetings are insane, the crazy stuff that happens at our meetings. So this situation aside, are the meetings crazy? And if so, how do you like keep a straight face and endure the craziness of a select board meeting?
So yeah, I mean, some of them have gotten, a little bit out of control. I'm a First Amendment guy, so I totally agree with the First Amendment. I think free speech is one of the cornerstones of our society. Some of them have gotten a little bit, over the top. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but some of them definitely have gotten a little out of control.
Aggressive.
Yeah, and some of the things that have been said, you wouldn't think that's commonplace in a normal society to say some of the things that have been said. It's one thing to attack, an elected official or to say things about an elected official, but the fact that some of these people that come to speak at the town meetings, they don't live in the town, they have no real ties to the town, and to attack, someone's actual family members and relatives is to me, it's over the top. You know what though? I try to just keep a level mind, and I try to let it not get to me. Because at the end of the day, I know who I am. I know who my family is. And so I try not to let it get to me. It definitely affects me. I'm not gonna say it doesn't. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, but when you start attacking people, especially people's families, I think that crosses the line. So
Yeah.
And you weren't on the select board when John died, correct? You were elected after John had passed away.
Yes.
So
2023 of April. It's a 3-year term, so it'll be up this April, 2026.
You gonna run again?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think, it wasn't what I envisioned.
I'm sure.
It would be like in different times, in different places. It's unfortunate.
It really is. It's sad.
I'm really looking forward to it, and it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. It's unfortunate.
It is.
Yeah, that's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you do a great job at the meetings, Chris. I don't know how you do it. Truly, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I just try to just keep my cool, keep my composure, and not, it's difficult. Like I said before, it's difficult when someone says something. They might not directly call out a family member, but
All right. Well, I will turn it over to you, Tuesday.
Oh. I have to look at my question that I have here that I do not have ready. Is anyone else prepared?
Yeah, we can skip to Julie if you want.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about how Colin is doing? I have 3 sons, very similar to your sons, very similar ages. It's really upsetting to think about what has been taken from Colin, how much stress it must be for you and Julie and his brothers to watch this happen. So do you want to talk a little bit about how Colin's doing now?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put it into words for everyone to understand, but I would implore people to just think about the fact that my son was 17 years old when this happened. He was a senior in high school, getting ready to become a freshman in college, to go play on a football team, something that he strived for, that he loved, to play with his cousin. And he was able to do that at first, for his freshman year. And we had no idea what was coming, but it's difficult what he's gone through and what he's been called, and his whole entire life has been turned upside down. It's been ruined in some ways. It's I don't know how to put this into exact words. Each day is a struggle for him, to get out of bed. Some days are better than others. And it's disgusting what people have done to him and what they've said about him. It's truly, can't even, it just gets me so upset. But he's, you know, he just tries to get through each day at a time, one day at a time. It's just imagine, you know, someone calling your son a murderer for no reason whatsoever.
I couldn't, you know, and I mean, I say it all the time, you know, people laugh at me, but he truly is a kid. You know, if you're going to go after adults, you're going to go after somebody our age. We have life experience and we can put things into perspective. When you're talking about a 19, 20, 21-year-old kid, they don't have that. And they're just trying to figure out who they are. And now imagine people have, you know, basically they've made you a leper. They've made you a social pariah. They have said horrible things. And the worst part of this is it's adults doing this. It is people in their 40s and 50s and 60s who are doing this, who should know better, who should know that you cannot do that to a person that age. He hasn't done anything wrong. My mom used to say, when you have kids, your heart lives on the outside of your body. And it's so true. You know, so it would be one thing if it was happening to me, but to have to watch my child go through that would be just, I don't know how you and Julie do it, because I probably would have lost my mind by this point. The one thing that I've noticed, and it happened to me this weekend on Twitter, someone was, you know, laughing and making light of the situation with Richard Schiffer, which I didn't find that funny at all. And I had made the comment, well, you know, maybe you could just tell me who your child is, and we could do that. We could, you know, get little things and throw them all around town and accuse your child of heinous things. And the person got very, very upset. And, you know, the point of that is if the thought of it happening to your child upsets you,
right,
then why are you not taking a step back and thinking about what you're doing to this kid? It blows my mind that people can't understand that. And like I said, it is all adults. It is a bunch of adult bullies. The kids that we raised are the first generation that kind of had Twitter and YouTube, and you could go on there, but they also had the social media. Whereas, you know, for us, if you were being bullied or something was happening, you could go home and it was your sanctuary. And it's not like that anymore. People can get to you wherever you are. To completely shut everything off at that age, I can't even imagine what that poor kid has gone through. And I am so sorry that you guys have had to go through that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's it's mind-boggling that, like you said, there's adults that are doing this to a kid, like for no fault of his own. It's just, I can't even put it into, I'm a loss for words. It's disgusting and it's despicable. And if this happened to someone else's child, they would be outraged. And to see adults acting the way they act is just, there's no place for a civilized society for this crap. It's just, honest to God. It's just,
I think Chris, Joe Krowski said it best once on Court TV. I mean, it's been proven over and over Colin wasn't there. There, you know, we all know the feds have their information. They know Colin was home, but he literally went to bed one night and woke up the next day being called a murderer. You know, and that always hit me when Krowski said that on Court TV once, because it was so true. He just went to bed and one night, you know, one morning woke up and all of a sudden he was a murderer.
Crazy. Yeah, it was just like, you know, everything was going around, everything was going fine. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you know, we get this word about some blogger and some article, and then boom, it's like, what? You like my son Colin? What are you?
Right.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
You know what's really maddening is the photo of his knuckles. And there was one photo of his knuckles and he had scrapes on his knuckles. And so we know logically, reduction here is that scraped his knuckles. It was not at the time anywhere near this time when John had died. Even the Boston Herald would post this photo as if that is the photo that show. I mean, it's scary what the media can do and how careless they are in order to sensationalize a story, and how this impacts families, let alone a young adult male who, you know, is just entering into adulthood, and they just don't care.
No, it's all about the media is they hold a big responsibility in this. They they hold a lot of blame, and they just went with clicks and likes to sell a story. And what they've done in their, oh God, it's just the fact that they have sensationalized this and just, it's just terrible.
In trial two, you know, Judge Cannone ruled that there wasn't enough to even name Colin as a third party culprit. And so you would think that that would cause the media to write articles, and that is not at all what happened.
Right.
Yeah, where's all the articles from the media saying, well, Judge Cannone said they didn't want to hear it. They just didn't let it, you know?
Her latest filing doesn't have Colin in it. Not even mentioned.
Right.
No one's mentioned that.
I mean, that's the damage those things do. Once you do that, there's no putting that back. There's no stopping that. And there will always be people that believe that. And I think some of this alternative media, these YouTubers as well, they would have people on, you know, that lived in Canton. They're not doing any fact checking. They're allowing these people to just spew these crazy rumors. I mean, do you remember that one, Carrie, someone from Canton who's been very vocal and then just dropped out, and she was making comments about Colin. And they were it was just all gossip and blanket statements.
Gossip and rumors and
no examples, nothing.
Yes.
And they just, the host just allowed her to spew all of this stuff.
And it was just nonsense.
I'm thankful I didn't hear it. So
yeah, well,
no kidding. Don't look for it.
It still makes me angry.
It's just deeply disturbing to me.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even like the psychology behind it. It's just like mind-boggling. I can't understand why they act the way they act. It just makes no sense. If this was their child or their grandchild, how would they feel? Like it's just crazy that things that.
Well, a lot of them on Twitter, I like every time I get one of those comments from, you know, these free Karen Reed people who are quite aggressive in the way they tweet. You know, it's either a sock account a lot of times, you know, they're brand new. People whose profile, it is their real profile. I have come across so many where I automatically go, and in their profile bio, it says things about being kind. You know, there's a biblical quote.
Right.
There's whatever.
Yeah,
and it's like these people who, and I consider myself a Christian. So I'll say this makes me frustrated, because it's like, if you have to tell someone how kind you are in your bio, then you're probably not being that kind online. Right? Because it's almost the irony behind it. It's almost like they tell themselves, this is how kind and amazing I am. And it's there and it's written, you know, but they don't self-reflect. Yeah, it's maddening. And it's, you know, it's frustrating.
Well, with us in this case, this is kind of, I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. They dehumanized us to a point where we're just, you know, we're not like real people. Yeah, we're
McAlberts, right? You're this term.
What is a McAlbert? There's no such thing as McAlbert.
Yeah.
There's the McCabe's and there's the Alberts. Like for people to keep saying it over and over again, it just shows you more what type of people they are than what we are. How shallow they are, and how just oh God, it's disgusting.
Right. But it's meant to have you as one entity, right? To make you sound more of like your own mob. You know, you are the McAlberts, you are this thing, and it's a lie. It's a lie that they're painting you in.
It's
The amount of-
literally
the amount of-
ripped from the propaganda, Soviet propaganda. It's exactly following those same
1000%.
rules because you're othering people, right?
Mhm.
By dehumanizing them and putting them into a big group that everybody can be mad at. And then you're controlling the language, which is essential to good propaganda. You change the meaning of certain words.
Yeah.
And so they, people lose their focus on the truth. That way it's completely propaganda in every single way. And I will believe that that is why Hank used that quote in court about, repeating a line, it becomes a truth, because that's what that quote is about. It's about propaganda.
They all say the McAlberts. We don't just mean people on Twitter. The lawyers on Twitter use McAlberts.
Yep.
The law tubers
Yep.
use McAlberts. I mean, it's
gross.
It's really disgusting.
Yeah.
It's become a derogatory word.
Yeah.
That's what it's meant to be.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Every time you hear that word, just like when it's, Jen is just a regular mom or whatever that statement was, they use this over and over and over to degrade people. And the truth doesn't need that. The truth doesn't need you to create a image to persuade people a certain way. The truth is the truth. It's wild.
So I went over some of your testimony yesterday. I got to the part of John coming in to D&E that day, and you guys had made plans to possibly meet up, and you had got to the waterfall and you texted him, and you were teasing him about his lawn and that he should get over there. And, listening to David Yannetti try to turn this into some kind of threat, right? What was going through your head when he was like trying to make it seem like you were like threatening him that you were going to like tear up his front lawn? I mean, come on.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, but it was then again, it was all a performance. It was like theater for him. But to me, it was upsetting because John was my friend, you know what I mean? And that joke about the lawn was like, it was genuine. And like, it wasn't like, it's crazy to me. Right. It's mind boggling that they tried to spin that and make that like we had something. Then why did John come in my shop that day?
Well, those are the things they want to make people forget, right? They don't want people to remember that John and Patrick, his nephew, came into Chris's shop that day. That's where he spent his last day having lunch was with his friend Chris. They don't want everybody to remember that. And I think he invited himself out with you guys, right? Chris asked what you guys were doing.
We talked, he said, "What do you do?" He said, "What are you doing tonight?" And I said, "Actually, it's my nephew's birthday party."
I mean, they don't want people to remember that.
Well, I thought it was just, I thought it was so cute because my dad was like that with his lawn too. And when we would tease him, we'd be like, "Yeah, we're going to step on the lawn." My girlfriend and I used to tease him all the time. So I thought it was super cute. So, I remember when it was happening, live during the trial, and I was like, what is he doing? Like, people aren't going to really think that this was an actual threat, right? And so these people are like this big powerful mob, and what he's going to threaten him with is, I'm going to like tear up your front lawn. Like, are you serious right now, Mr. Yannetti?
It was so bizarre.
Yeah, it was.
But it's crazy because like the internet and these people, these low IQ people, believe that. They think that was like that photo. I mean, John asked us to just keep a lookout on his yard. So me and Julie went to dinner. John and Karen, I think we're in Florida or something. So as a joke on the way home, Julie's like, "Hey, pull over. We're going to pull over. We're going to send John a picture." So we straddle the fence and they're like, "Oh, look at them harassing him." And what are you talking about?
That was
so weird.
And Karen obviously knew that. And Karen knew that narrative, right?
I saw the photo when it was sent over to him.
Yes.
I mean,
It's such a melodramatic and hysterical way to
It is.
interpret a little joke like that. And then the other thing that he did that's top of mind right now is the incident with Dylan,
Yeah.
and where he kept trying to make it Colin, and he kept trying to say, you know,
Oh,
Colin
yeah.
just walked through his yard and flip him off. And you're like, no, that was Dylan. The end of that story, that John didn't even like realize that he had upset Dylan, and then he comes over with candy, and that tells you what their relationship was like.
Yeah, that's how we actually became friends with John, was because
Yeah.
that's what Dylan did. He runs across John's yard. John just was being John. It was like, hey, get off my lawn, kid. It was like not a big deal. But Dylan, being like in 6th grade, was a little bit startled. So he ran home. He's like, what are you doing? The guy at the street just yelled at me. And so Julie called Jen and said something to Jen about it. And Jen reached out to John, and within 2 hours, Dylan's favorite candy was on our front yard.
Aw.
On our front door. And then we became friends with them, and that's kind of how we connected. It's just
That's
silly
a
that
great
people,
story.
they buy into these crazy stories like they're true, and they don't know anything about the truth.
And when they get told, because those go around like rumors, and then it's
Yeah.
like when it gets corrected, they just either keep saying it or they drop it and move on to the next speculation.
Yep.
I thought those were really sweet stories. The donuts in the car was really sweet. Like they just seem like warm relationships. Sometimes I wonder, is it just that these people don't have the healthy relationships in their lives? Like their lives are so messed up that they do think it's impossible for somebody to do something really sweet for you on your birthday.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
So for the record, Ian, you know that Dunkin' Donuts are always open during blizzards. Why does everyone think that's such a weird thing?
I know.
Especially if you live in New England. So
Yep.
that was
Never
something that
closed.
my wife
Yeah.
did all the time. Brought him donuts on his birthday all the time.
Yeah.
That's
That's
just
so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is jealousy.